Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to help you and your family cruise a little smarter when the ship starts sailing. And I'd like to welcome to the show our wonderful host all the way from the Los Angeles area, Chris. How you doing this morning, Chris?
I'm doing pretty good, Steve. It is overcast in LA today, which is my favorite type of LA because I don't like the sun very much.
What? you live in...
Listen, it gets really hot in the valley where I live, and I prefer the sun near a beach where there's an ocean breeze, and that's not happening where I'm at. But we're not here to talk about the weather in LA.
No, we are not. So what are we talking about today, Chris?
Okay, well, there's a couple of routes we can go, but these are the options. We're either talking about cruising while single. We're also talking about cruising with just other adults. And then I guess cruising solo, but I'm not really sold on that last one. So I don't know what we're going to call this episode, but it's one of those three things. And the reason we're talking about that is because we have two amazing guests, Andrea and Joe. Andrea, where are you from? Where are you at?
I'm on Long Island, New York.
And Joe, you're also on Long Island, right?
I am, and it is muggy and hot and overcast here as well.
Well, welcome to the DCL podcast, where we're going to talk about this fun, exciting topic. I don't think we've done a show like this before, Steve, have we?
No, we haven't. We've talked about, cruising without kids. I guess we've done a couple of those, and you and Seth, at least for now, are cruising without kids, but that may change. Hopefully that will change here in the near future. But let's kind of jump into it. Let's start with you, Andrea. What is your cruising and kind of Disney background? And then we'll get your story, Joe.
So I had never really cruised, but my family was a big Disney family. My dad worked for the transit authority. He had tons of vacation time. So we used to hook up a camper and go down and spend like weeks at a time in Fort Wilderness, because at the time when I was a kid, they had a length of stay pass. So you used to spend like $20 a day to stay in the campground, and then you could be in Disney for like weeks. So we used to do it all the time over the summer. So then when we were kind of adults, Joe and I were like, we should go to Disney. And then we started doing that. And then we were like, let's go to Disney and go on a cruise. So we just kind of kept like adding more things on that all involve Disney.
So I think I'm in the wrong transportation business there, Chris. I think I need to work for the Transportation Authority because it sounds like they have a lot of vacation time. So let's turn to you, Joe. What's kind of your Disney and cruising background? And maybe you can talk about how the two of you met.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, I was what I'd say a typical New York family when I was a kid, came as a very young child, and then visited one more time when we were more like teenage years. And that was it for a long time. So as a college student, I met Andrea, and we met in college. We weren't in the same program, and we were a couple years off, but we had interests in common. We are both in theater. And that was one of our major interests. And that's how we got to know each other very well. We have many friends in common that are involved in theater. And also an interest of ours has been Disney. And so then we took our first Disney trip in 2009. And since then, we've definitely explored Disney World, Disneyland. Andrea and I actually did Disneyland Paris together, and all with friends in different kind of combinations of people. So like Andrea said, there was a point that we said, you know what, let's check out Disney Cruise Line. I as well had never cruised before. So it was going to be something fun, something different. And we thought we'd connect our Disney park experience a few days before hopping on the Disney Cruise Line.
That sounds amazing. Also, how well traveled on your Disney checklist. I'm impressed. You've been to Europe with Disney and Disneyland and Disney World, but what about the Asian parks?
I did that in February. I had two, I invited Joe, but he didn't want to come, Joe. But with two other friends, theater friends, we went to Tokyo, and we did Tokyo Disneyland a week before it shut down.
Oh my gosh.
This past February. Yeah. And that was amazing, by the way. Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea are outrageous.
Oh, I've heard. I've had friends go, but I've never gone. I also have a friend who's an Imagineer who helped design Shanghai, and I've never been. And I'm like, it seems to me that they do these parks on a whole nother scale, and I definitely want to be a part of that at one point in my life. But also, I can barely get the time to fly 5 hours to Florida, let alone like, what is it? Steve, how far is it from Los Angeles to Tokyo? Like 20 hours or something?
No, it's not quite that far, but it's probably for LA. It's probably a good 10 hours or so. So
stressed. Yeah, I don't think I can handle that right now. But okay, so you've done a lot of parks, most of them together,
Yep.
which I think is a fun twist. And when you say you're theater friends, do you mean like you like to go to the theater together, or you like do theater together?
Both.
Okay,
Both.
tell us about theater. I love theater.
I mean, we've done operas together. We've done shows together. The show that we were like, oh, we have to go to Disney after was 42nd Street. Although, Joe, you weren't in that.
I was an observer.
Yeah, with our first friend group, our 2009 trip, we had just done 42nd Street, and then like literally the day after it closed, we were like, let's go to Disney, and we went.
So we both have a background in theater, education, music, voice, all that kind of fun stuff, but it's not our career. So we've done it more as volunteers, that kind of thing, to keep up our interest. But we are not professionals right now, but we are definitely professional theater goers. Since we're just outside of New York, we like to get into Manhattan and see Broadway shows all the time as well.
I've been paid to do theater, Joe. My $25 a show. I'm just
there you
go. Right. They pay some for theater, the community circuit. Well, that's amazing. I also think when we get to, I don't know if it's in if it's in Steve's show notes or not, we'll talk about what you think about Disney Cruise Line musicals.
We'll definitely touch on that. So let's just kind of jump into your cruising experience then. So you guys finally go on that first Disney cruise. What was it about that cruise that made you guys want to come back?
Oh, it was honestly just an amazing trip. We did the short 3-night Disney Dream out of Port Canaveral. We would have stayed on the boat 4 more days, 5 more days, 10 more days at that point. Everything. It was just a combination of the relaxation, but also so many things to do. And we're big foodies too. So all of the amazing food on the cruise. And I'm sure we'll get into it later, but we had an amazing experience at Castaway Cay and Serenity Bay in particular. As soon as we walked off that cruise, actually, before we walked off that cruise, a bunch of us got, Andre, if you want to talk about getting
placeholders. Yeah, we not only, and it was really funny because we all booked a placeholder and we knew we were going to cruise together again. So it was like, oh, if we all book placeholders, like we can use yours for this trip and yours for a different trip. So yeah, it was great.
So that leads us to a question then. So you guys fall in love with Disney Cruise Line like all the rest of us do. You don't want to be kicked off the boat like none of us want to be after your 3-day cruise. You want to stay on there. How do you guys, and you get those placeholders, how do you guys decide as a group which cruise you wanted to do next? And then that makes me kind of think about the cabins situation too. Like as a group, how does that work?
Yeah, you have to have a roommate situation, I suppose.
Yeah, and we typically go with 6 people, although we have added some others intermingling at some points, but we are 6 people. So we usually do separate 3 and 3 just to make it as comfortable as possible within the stateroom. But Andre and I are actually typically the planners. So we've had a lot of experience listening to podcasts, doing our own research. So we looked into different staterooms. We've looked into different combinations. Should we all stay together? Do we go for a smaller room but less expensive? So, Andre, do you want to talk about how we kind of start and throw some information out at our friends and make them tell us as much as possible, as short a time as possible?
Yes. So Joe and I are obsessive. We listen to a podcast galore and we read a lot and we research a lot. And what we'll do is we'll take dates and itineraries and narrow it down to like what, Joe, 4, and then throw them out at our friends. And then everybody kind of votes. We end up going usually with something that's like a mixture of cost effective. And when we kind of think there might be less kids, so we will end up generally sailing in August because where teachers and a lot of schools are already back by mid to late August. And then as far as the room category we book, I get really seasick. So I am always like, has to have a balcony, because if I'm not feeling well, I want to be able to sit and have the air blowing on me, like and be miserable alone if I get really seasick. Then this last cruise, we had booked just the regular veranda room. And then I upgraded us to the deluxe family because as 6 adults, we don't want someone to have to stay on that bed that pulls out of the ceiling. We wanted the couch bed and then the bed that pulls down. So I was
because you're never doubling up 2 adults on the queen size bed.
Yeah, I mean, we could, but there usually are at least 2 of us in one of the rooms, in each of the rooms, that has no problem sleeping either on the couch bed or on the Murphy bed. So we'd rather just have our own space. And then if we feel like, depending on how many nights we're on the cruise, we'll hop around and say, you can have the bed tonight. But we're pretty flexible with that.
Yeah, I mean, one of our friends is 6'5" also. So like, nobody is sharing a queen size bed with someone who's 6'5". Like, he sleeps diagonally across that bed. It's a given. If you're sharing a room with him, he gets the bed.
Right. So this is an important question then. How do you as adults find the additional bedding? So like the couch bed and the Murphy bed, do you find it to be comfortable and you sleep well?
Yeah, I'm usually the Murphy bed guy and have no problem over there. It's totally comfortable.
I'm on the couch bed. And other than actually the first cruise we took, there was something wrong with the couch bed. And one of our friends was like, I don't understand. I'm sliding into the bed. So she spoke to the room attendant and then he fixed it. And she was like, why did I wait? That's so much better. And I was like, oh, good.
I just want to throw this out there. Since there's 6 of you, you could always book the concierge 2-bedroom suite with veranda that sleeps 7. So something in the future.
Yes, we've definitely looked into that. As Andrea said, we kind of look into everything. So when we find the right cruise that overall is the right price for all of our budgets, I think that might definitely be something in our future.
Yeah, when we hit the lottery and become independently wealthy, that's the room we'll book.
There we go.
When they finally start paying teachers what they're worth.
Well, before we talk about stuff on the ship and Chris's favorite thing, food and theater as well, because I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts on that. It seems like you guys cruise in August, which in a lot of ways, that's a great time to cruise price-wise. As you said, kids are going back to school, so sometimes the prices can be a little bit better, but then you got the hurricanes. What are some of the different places that you guys have been? Has it mostly been in the Caribbean, or have you ventured outside of the Caribbean yet?
Yeah, I mean, our first cruise, like we said, was out of Port Canaveral, and so was our second cruise. We do like to tag on that Disney World pre kind of cruise time, so that definitely plays a part in that. We have a trip coming up that we have scheduled for next spring. Hopefully we're able to go on it, and we have a little bit of change for that one. We booked, what did we book for that one, Andrea?
That was your idea, Joe. We're doing a Baja cruise out of San Diego. And then I just bought DVC resale and managed to get us some Grand Californian studios. I know. What? So
Okay. Apparently you have some sort of magic touch, because that sounds like an impossible puzzle.
I have to say, that happens a lot to us, where it's like, oh, like you'll never get this, and I just will happen to Google one day and be like, let me see if I can get it, and there it is, and I'm like, book it.
You have the Disney touch. That's exciting. Have you stayed at the Grand Cal before?
I have, but not on the DVC side.
Right, because the DVC wasn't built until like 10 or so years into its existence.
Yeah, so a couple years ago, they did that World of Color Honor Choir for the Christmas season at Grand World of Color,
Yeah,
I submitted a video, and then my video was accepted, and I was a face and a snowflake for anyone who saw that show, Winter Dreams. And so my cousin and I flew to, and I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, because I'm in the show, we're obviously staying at the Grand Californian. Woohoo.
Yeah. You gave me chills then, because that was such a good World of Color. It made me feel all the things.
Oh, I'm so good.
That's great. Okay, so you are doing that next. Baja, which offers what? It would be offering 4 and 7 nights, Steve? Or 5 and 7 nights?
Ours is actually the 5, I believe.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
Cabo, Ensenada, and a couple days at sea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I loved Ensenada, and I was kind of blown away by it. I thought that was actually kind of a fun port. We did some fun things there. The town itself, I'm not sure is like overly amazing or anything like that, but I think there's some really cool like wine tasting. You can go horseback riding, a bunch of fun things like that. So.
Yeah, I think it's just native Californians give Ensenada a bad rap because it's so easily accessible. It's just over the border. You can get there really quickly. And so it doesn't feel quite like vacation. But I feel like if you're not from California, Ensenada is a great city in Mexico you can visit.
It's also they're kind of like one of their food baskets for Mexico. So there's probably, you guys are foodies. It could be some good food opportunities there as well. So let's turn to food. Chris, your favorite topic. Why don't you run with that?
All right, so I'm going to go back to that very first ever cruise. Had you been on a cruise before?
No.
Okay, so you've never been on a cruise before. The food on a cruise is always like what is highlighted in like videos and pictures. It's always just like food on food on food. What was your first impression on that first cruise of Disney's cruise line food?
Peel and eat shrimp.
Oh my God.
All you can eat, peel and eat shrimp, huh?
Yep. We definitely did the run straight to Cabanas and, did the brunch there, did the lunch there, the buffet lunch there. Yeah, we absolutely love the food from the rotational dining. We hit Remy's on that cruise, so we could talk about that. Oh. And we kind of like tried to explore every aspect of food on that cruise as much as possible.
So on a 3-night cruise, if you hit Remy, that means you missed one of the main dining rooms. Which main dining room did you miss?
Royal Court?
Oh,
Yes.
My favorite, Steve's favorite. No escargot or apple tart.
Listen, we made up for that. We made up for that when we went on a 7-night. We were like, escargot, bring it. We ordered like 3 of them each.
Yeah.
Well, before we talk about Remy, so do you guys link? I guess I'm assuming you guys link your accounts together when you book your cruise. So they're going to probably put you all at the same table together. Have you ever sat with other people, or do you guys usually just take up your own table?
We take up our own table.
You scare too many people away with how much fun you're having probably down.
Yeah. And I think
really boisterous.
They try to locate us, I think, away from as many people as possible. In fact, in the Royal Table is on the Fantasy as opposed to the Royal Court. I forget which one is which. There's that like side back room that has like 4 tables, and we were in that room. And in Enchanted Garden, whenever they put us in the back like platform corner, they definitely realized that 6 adults dining together is not going to be in the mix of the families.
Yeah, they have your pictures warning all the service staff. Hey, this is a rowdy crew. Okay.
Yeah.
First or second dining? I'm assuming second because you're all adults.
Yeah, always second. We don't want to take up the first dining. And also, we're never hungry by that point.
Yeah.
It also means that we've never been hungry for that Pirate Night Midnight Buffet, which I'm always sad about. But like every time we walk past it, we're like, that looks delicious, but I can't eat anything else.
Yeah, I have also never partaken in a midnight buffet, which on Disney Cruise Line is more like a 10 p.m. buffet. But the Star Wars and Marvel cruises also do that after their big like fireworks night. And I was so sad not to eat the Star Wars treats because it was like all this Star Wars themed Cabanas food. And I was like, I could not eat literally anything. And then I went back to the room and ordered a cookie from room service. But the food on these cruises is a highlight, but I imagine Remy takes it to the next level. And neither Steve or I have had dinner or brunch at Remy. I've only ever had the dessert experience, which highly recommend. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on Remy. Did you do brunch? Did you do dinner? What are you thinking?
We did dinner, and it was, bear in mind, it was when it was $95 a person. We chose not to do it at the higher price.
$130 is it now?
$125, I think.
$125. Yeah.
Okay.
So
we stuck with Palo on that cruise.
Okay, so you did it when it was just about $100, and you did it for dinner. And what were your overall thoughts?
I mean, it was beautiful. They're also very cognizant of like, if you don't like something, they're very like, oh, you know, they get very like about it. So one little amuse-bouche thing was supposed to like explode in your mouth or something like that. And one of ours didn't. She was like, there was nothing in mine. And they got like crazy and they were like, we'll make you another one. And they like ran away and made her another one. But a word of warning for people who go to Remy, because they give you this beautiful wine list. And of course, like there are some really expensive bottles of wine on there, but there's no prices on them. And so my cousin, who is within our friend group, has a red that she really likes, Chateauneuf du Pape, and she said that we saw it on the wine menu, and the sommelier, she asked the sommelier if it was available by the glass, and the sommelier said, "Oh yes, of course," and blah blah blah. So it brings her this glass of Chateauneuf du Pape. Well, they gave her the glass and charged her for the bottle. So at the end of the meal, which was wonderful, she got the bill and all of a sudden we see her sort of start like sweating and like moving around. And we were like, what is wrong with you? And she was like, guys, they charge you. How much was it? Was like, Joe, was like $300?
I don't think that much, but it was definitely
200 at least.
I was going to say close to 200.
Yeah, it was like $200, and she was like, "The glass of wine was $200," and we were horrified. And now we laugh about it, but boy, man, at the time it was not funny.
Well, did they correct it? They eventually charged her.
No.
Did she get the whole bottle then at least?
No, they didn't even give her the bottle. It was horrible. It was really bad.
I bet you if you had spoken up, they probably would have corrected it, but you were being polite, I guess.
I'm sure they would have. Yeah, we're those kind of people, like just quietly sneak away and be horrified.
So thinking back at it then, Remy or Palo, you know, going on your next cruise. Well, I guess you're going to be on the Wonder if your next one's out of San Diego. So where would you guys go back to next? I mean, is Palo sufficient? I shouldn't say sufficient. That's not a good word, but
no, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, Remy was an amazing experience. It was from every course. They kept you there. They did not rush you in any way, shape, or form. It was probably like a 3-hour event, and everybody that's working with you, you know, from the waiter to the sommelier, they're all wonderful in every aspect, and you really enjoy that experience. But for $130 a pop, I don't know if it's like an every cruise type of thing, for sure. Yeah. Definitely when we've gone to, we've been at Palo for both dinner and brunch. And I mean, the food there is crazy good as well. So there's no reason not to just do Palo. I think that's kind of where we're at this point. What do you think, Andrea?
Yeah, I think if I had a really special occasion, I'd do Remy again. It's also hard with you have to think about the mix of people who you're cruising with. I think if it was, you know, some of us in the group of 6, we would, it was just us, we would maybe do Remy again because we're a little more willing to spend $130 on a dining experience. Not all of us, like we have some people that were like, guys, that's just ridiculous. I'm not doing it again. And we were like, okay, you know, they did it once. We enjoyed it. It was great, but it's not like an every cruise kind of situation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wonder though, Palo, you said you did brunch, but you haven't done brunch at Remy. Do you think you would try brunch at Remy one day just to see what it's all about?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, and the dessert experience that you were mentioning before, we definitely would be interested in that as well.
Oh my gosh, do the dessert experience. I'm a salesperson for the dessert experience. It's so cool.
So that you guys made a good point there. You know, you travel as a group of 6 generally, and talking about maybe splitting up. Is that a hard thing to do? Do you guys find, because I know our kids are happy to leave us sometimes, you know, and go and do their own thing and then come back at dinner. Is that something that you guys do too? Or do you guys kind of tend to stay together?
Yeah, I think for many of the big things like dinner, like you said, we do stay together as much as possible. We do the shows together for the most part. But there are plenty of times when we do separate. You know, we have different interests. We have different activity levels. Sometimes when you're spending 7 nights with 6 adults in 2 rooms, you just want your own space.
I'm over it. Generally around day 5. Around day 5, I'm like, I hate all of you and I'm leaving. I just go off and do something on my own.
Yeah, but we're very good about making sure that everybody's comfortable doing that and not feeling like, you have to do what the group wants to do. And, usually there's at least two people together and you're not going off on your own unless you want to go off on your own. That's totally fine. We have one friend that's a smoker who goes to have a cigarette, and has no problem doing that and then doing his own thing. I like to do the animation classes, and every now and then somebody will come with me and do that. But for the most part, I'm going to do those on my own. So we do kind of mix it up. But for the most part, we're doing dinners together or chilling out at the adult-only pool area together, things like that.
Yeah, some of us book the Rainforest Room. And again, in terms of budgets, people's budgets are different. So they don't always go. I'm always in the Rainforest Room. So if anyone, I want alone time, I book that whole cruise pass and we'll be on a heated lounger reading a book.
Yeah, that's actually a good tip. Going back to the staterooms and the sizes and having 3 adults in one stateroom. I've only, I think, showered in the stateroom bathroom once because I use the fitness center showers. They're bigger and it just gives us different space. I'll go down to the gym. I get the Rainforest Pass too. I'll go down, hang out there and do my kind of afternoon shower before dinner, or even in the morning, I'll go to the gym and shower and get ready for the day in the fitness center. So that gives the other people in the room a little bit more space. And I find the actual facilities in the fitness center just larger than the shower in the actual stateroom.
That's a good hot tip. I like it. That does help ease some of that bathroom tension when you're sharing it with adults. Because for some reason because I've also cruised twice with 3 grown adults in a room. But Seth is my husband. We sleep in the queen size bed. We've never used the 3rd bed option. But I have felt like it was pretty congested at bathroom time or morning showers and things like that. So having the gym and the rainforest shower situation, I think, is probably a great tip.
I love the gym as well. I love actually working out and watching the sea on the sea days as you're kind of working out in the mornings too. So,
although they need to change the direction of the treadmills because you're going against the water and it's just you're running and it's awkward.
They are changed, Joe. You're going to find out when you get on the Wonder and the Magic. So there you go. You can look forward.
Greatest day of your life.
Well, what better segue from the gym to the theater, Chris?
Theater. The theatre. Okay, so I was a theater major in college and have actually taught theater to junior hires, so slight kindredness here. But what are your thoughts? I guess let's talk generally about Disney-style musicals or things like that, and then how do you think those things transfer to the ship?
Joe, I'm going to let you go first on this one.
Okay, listen, Disney style musicals. Obviously, we're not ridiculous in thinking that it's not aimed towards kids. So let's get that right there. So we understand, the main focus is children, but adults can enjoy it too. And we're totally into that. When we go to the parks, we love a Finding Nemo musical, the Lion King show and Animal Kingdom, things like that. So we're totally into it. We have friends who have done some performing in the parks and on the cruise lines actually too. So we're totally open for it. It's over the top. It's silly. Some of the acting isn't maybe always the best acting, but it's perfect for what they're doing. And, we love it. The kids love it. Obviously, they're always out there screaming and hollering and getting the kids involved.
I've always been really impressed with the actors they get vocally. Sorry, that's my cat. Yeah. So vocally, I think the actors are really great. And I also am usually I know that people slag off Dream or Believe and, those shoehorned shows. Sometimes people are not super fans of them. I'm not sure if I could. No, we go to them every time. So I'm not sure if I could see them every time, but we always end up going. So I don't know what I'm talking about. And I kind of like that. I like the variety in them. I mean, to me, it would just be better if they didn't even bother trying to have a storyline and they just were we're doing scenes from shows and this is great. We just want you to watch us sing. Sometimes
totally.
That those storylines are what are you doing?
But I do get welled up at the end of the father-daughter one every time, no matter what. So
yeah. Is that the one with the magic flower?
Mm-hmm.
I love that flower show. I have a thing with those musicals, which is one, my biggest pet peeve is when adults play children. On a Disney Cruise Line trip, for those of you who don't know, they are not like having child laborers who are playing children in these shows. They have to have adults who are able to cruise play children in the shows. So there's always like one 5'1", like 27-year-old woman who just plays all of the children's characters, right?
Can I just interject and shout out to Caitlin Hornick, a friend of ours who had done that track. And we got to see her when we were like getting ready for dinner one night on our TV screen.
Yeah, they were playing it on the TV screen and they were using her performance. So we saw her like as Snow White. We started screaming and like filming it on our phones. It was ridiculous.
That's so funny. Yeah, so exactly. You're just like your friend. There's always that one or two sometimes when Frozen is on the ship where they pick like shorter women in their 20s to play children. And that's usually my pet peeve, but that flower one, I don't know what it is about it. The music is really not even like that great, except that it's jukebox Disney stuff. But when it ends and the father like realizes that he needs to give attention to his daughter, I'm like, oh my goodness. So I think it's just the magic of the like Disney formula.
Absolutely. And it's kind of amazing what they do technically on the ship too. Like definitely impressive that the new Beauty and the Beast on the Dream, like that's incredible what they've done with that. But even Aladdin, I think on Fantasy, they did some pretty cool stuff. They always do.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing what they can do within this small space.
Okay, so you mentioned that you're really impressed with the technical aspects of the shows on Disney Cruise Line. Are there any like special effects or tech moments that have really stood out to you?
Honestly, for me, it's kind of really ridiculous the way they light up the audience with some of the lighting effects. I mean, it's nothing major and nothing crazy, but it's just kind of like when the whole theater gets involved in the show, that's pretty awesome. In the Beauty and the Beast show, they do a lot with projections. A lot of the scenery incorporates projections. So it really is like the new movie, the live action movie. That stage production is so on par with some of the design that's in that movie, and it's impressive how they're able to do that on a ship that they didn't have to redo the entire theater for.
I was just thinking about the wolf scene from there, and your cat just went running behind you, Andrea.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what's wrong with her. She's like running around like a lunatic.
No, it's all good. Anything else about the theater?
One thing that I think we should definitely touch on is that Disney Cruise Line does adult entertainment that they transfer from the main theater to like the Tube or whatever that butterfly themed, what is it? Evolution. Yeah. Like they transfer it to like the adult nightclub on the ship. So like on my last cruise, we had Marcus Monroe who does like comedic juggling for kids. And then when he was plugging his adult show, he was like, hey, tonight at 10:30, there's an adult comedic juggling show, which I don't know what that's going to be like, but I'm excited to find out. And like, he's the one planning it. So it's vaguely funny that he's like, I have no idea what an adult juggling show is. But did you check out, or do you regularly check out the adult only entertainment? And how do you find that for your crew?
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's a little hit or miss, I feel like sometimes. And one tip that Andrea and I definitely do is if you go somewhere and you start to watch a show or go participate in, some kind of game show or anything like that, and it's not your speed, like you can walk out. Because so many times there are so many things that you want to do that are scheduled at the same time. So, why get stuck in something for half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour when there's something else that you want to enjoy and you can like head over to that. So I think we've kind of maybe not had the comedians / magicians that have thrilled us going into that night. So we really haven't spent time in that aspect of the adult only entertainment at night.
Yeah, I was hoping Marcus Monroe was going to be on our cruise because I've heard him on your podcast and he actually sounds really good. But the people that were on ours, I don't remember who they are specifically. And I hate to be like, I'm obviously not going to be mean to any performers because they're obviously awesome if they're booked on Disney Cruise Line. Yeah, they just they weren't interesting to us.
Yeah,
so. You're a cup of tea.
Yeah.
But some of the musicians, the bands, that electronic violinist chick that's on a lot of the cruises, some of those are awesome just to see when they're playing randomly around the ship, but also they play, pre-dinner and after dinner and some of the in the adult only areas, in some of the lounges and bars over there. So we'll sit, have a drink, listen to them, or get involved in some of the adult only activities, or the game shows and things like that.
We're very competitive. So trivia and game shows and things like that, we are always at those. Always.
Have you won? Do you have the coveted trivia medal?
Yes. We won 90s music trivia only because my friend Ryan knew every single question. The only question we got wrong was because I made him change it. And he was so mad at me because he thought we were going to lose. I thought he was going to take my head off. But thank goodness we won.
On those bigger ships, you pretty much need to hit every single one of them to win because somebody is going to get them all.
Yeah. 90s music trivia. That was us.
So before we move on to kind of the port adventure stuff, what other places or what are kind of other things that you guys like to do as kind of adults on the ship? We kind of talked about the food and the theater. Is there anything else that you guys enjoy while you're on board the ship? And we talked about the spa a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely the adult only pool area. So we love the satellite falls. Yeah, up on the very top. That seems to be a little bit less crowded. And we can always find, lounge chairs together and chilling out in there, even though it's a small pool, if you will. You usually are able to get some space in there and enjoy some time there, get a drink from Currents, the bar over there, which is nice. The lower level adult only pool tends to get a little bit more crowded.
Yeah, but never on the 3-night cruise. So that was another thing. If you really want your own adult space, the 3-night cruises, the families pretty much stick together because it's so short. But we went on that first 3-day cruise and we felt like we were the only adults on that whole ship. It was empty in the adult areas. The 7-night was a lot more. It was like that for the first 2 or 3 days, but then everything started to really fill up as kids got their independence. But that first cruise, man, we felt like we were alone. It was great. Oh, and we did. Anytime there's free alcohol, so Tiffany's had a reception, we were there. The captain's reception for free drinks, we were there. So anytime there's free things, free alcohol in the Navigator, you will find us at those places.
Absolutely. And I think now it's a paid experience, but on the first day, you used to be able to go to Senses Spa, the juice bar, and they would do an open house. And they had, we basically experienced like 10 of their alcoholic drinks, which are amazing. And you would not think that was something you could get at the juice bar, but they're pretty phenomenal. So that's definitely something to check out, even if you have to pay.
Yeah, we do tons of mixology too. So champagne tastings, mixology. I did the chocolate and liquor tasting. The only one that I haven't done that I really am desperate to do is the mojito and caipirinha tasting. They're always sold out. I can never get them. I was supposed to do one because Joe and I had a double dip booked for like in 2 weeks, but obviously it's not sailing. Yeah, but I had a mojito and caipirinha for that cruise. Want.
Wah, wah, wah. Well, hopefully it works out for the next one.
Yeah, you have to get it for Mexico.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do love that captain's. Why am I totally drawing a blank all of a sudden? The captain's reception down in the lobby on the second night, usually. That's always a lot of fun with everybody dressed up. So, well, let's try
to open to everyone, Steve?
Yeah. That's just like in the lobby, like before each one of the dinner seatings. They usually have. Are you serious? Like when you're just walking, they always have like wine and beer and champagne and everything like that, and just grab a glass.
For free?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're missing out.
What am I doing with my life?
Come on, Chris. Get it together.
That's like one of my favorite. That is totally like one of my favorite kind of experiences. Everybody's all dressed up, and you can go talk to the captain, and usually the ship's officers are out there as well. So it's always kind of fun. Well, let's turn to the port adventures. How does that work for you guys? I'm assuming you guys have different tastes and everything like that. But can you talk about how you pick your port adventures and maybe one or two of your favorites?
Sure. Yeah. I think like a lot of stuff we've been talking about, it depends on budget. So we kind of try to make sure everybody's comfortable with different things. But then activity level plays a part. So some of us like to do a little bit more hiking, for example, or that would entail a lot more activity. Some of us will do that. And some of us will just rather just chill out on a beach. So we kind of mix it up. But usually we're not leaving, again, one person by themselves.
Yeah, we always try to make sure that there's if we split up 3 and 3 or 2 and 4 so that somebody's not alone. But we really enjoyed the baths, that hike in Tortola. I think that was my favorite.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I know a lot of people say it's sometimes more difficult than people think it's going to be, so they don't want to try it out. It's going to be too much of a higher activity level. But I feel like everybody in our group was able to accomplish the entire thing, and there were no questions throughout. You know, you have to duck every now and then through some cave-like rock formations, but it's beautiful once you go through there.
That sold out on our last cruise, so we didn't do it. What we ended up doing, I'm glad we did, but Tortola is my favorite. It's so pretty.
It was beautiful. And on St. Thomas, we didn't stay on St. Thomas. I tried to talk everybody into going to the top of the mountain to drink banana daiquiris because that's all I wanted to do. And instead, we went to St. John, which was also beautiful. I mean, it was gorgeous, but I still really want banana daiquiris. And Joe is going to have to make that up to me someday.
Mexico.
There we go.
Any other favorite excursions you guys have done so far?
I think those are like the big ones on the islands, but then our favorite really honestly is Castaway Cay.
Well, let's run with that, Chris.
Yeah, okay. So the best little island, Castaway Cay. I imagine you all make good use of Serenity Bay, but maybe not. Maybe you do some other things. So why don't you tell us, what does a perfect day at Castaway Cay look like for your crew?
It looks like the view from our cabana.
Oh, you're a cabana team.
Yeah.
Have you ever not been able to get a cabana? Because those are in hot commodity.
You know,
3 times, first time cruisers. Where are we? 3 cabanas, 3 cruises, and we're not platinum. You know, we got it on our first cruise, got it on the second cruise, got it on the third cruise. I know people say they're hard to get, but there are ways.
We've been really, really lucky.
Are you going to tell us your ways, or are you trying to keep it a secret?
Well, Joe and I actually talked about this. We were like, should we give away the secret? Because
well, you can tell Steve and I, and we can edit it out if it's too good of a secret.
Not really that. So when we get on the ship, first of all, we always join the ship's Facebook group. So one cabana that we got was actually that way. The Facebook group, a platinum cruiser booked a Serenity Bay cabana with no intention of using it and with the intention of releasing it to the Facebook group. So I remember when he said he was releasing it, all 6 of us were online trying to get it. And I remember some of us like going, I had it in my cart and I missed it. And I was like, that's because I got it. You know, so like the 6 of us competing for it, which is ridiculous, but whatever. So the Facebook group, sometimes they can be really on top of it and you can get them that way.
Yeah. The other thing that we do is we're really good about getting on the cruise and doing a lot of things as soon as you get on board, from reservations to Remy, Palo, rainforest rooms, things like that. But we always go mixologies. Yeah. But we always go and put ourselves on the wait list for the cabanas, no matter what. On our first cruise, that's actually how we got the cabana. We got a call the night before, I think, Castaway Cay. And they're like, yep, cabana just came off the wait list. It's yours if you want it. Let us know and have a good time. So that's definitely something everybody should do, is put yourself on the wait list if you're interested.
I also think it's easier because, again, we're a group of adults. You know, I mean, I don't think, even though there's only 4 of them, I think people book them thinking that maybe they could get a family cabana. And then, you know, when it turns out they're not going to get one, you know, they drop that reservation. Although I'm just guessing. I don't really know.
The catch and release thing you talked about on your Facebook group is how we got a cabana on one of our cruises. It's the only time we've ever had a cabana. And I will say, just in case you're worried, Castaway Cay is still really great without a cabana because we've done it both ways. However, the cabana is an elevated experience. It is very nice. Also, it was so fun to be zipped around the island on a golf cart with like a personal like tour guide. And
Right?
also we were like, we want to stay in the cabana till the very last minute. And our person was like, yeah, you paid a lot of money for it. And so when the island was closing and it was time to go back to the ship, the person who picked us up was like speeding in the golf cart back towards the ship so we would get there in time. And I was like, this is amazing.
Yes,
So,
that's the best
it's
ride,
great.
right?
Yeah.
But also the saddest ride, Joe, because your time in your cabana is over.
Yeah, and depending on your cruise, it's the last night of your cruise too.
Yeah, I hate that.
I don't like it when that's the last night.
So have you guys done anything else on Cast? I mean, we have not spent time in a cabana, but our next cruise, if we happen to be on it with you, if you guys would like to watch our kids, we would gladly, hang out in your cabana for you and just try it out. But have you guys done some other things on Castaway Cay, like the snorkeling, not ziplining, but parasailing or some of the other things?
So we do the Andrea and I actually, our first cruise together did the 5K, and that was when the people that are running the 5K were able to get off the ship really early. So we did the 5K and we walked onto Serenity Bay. We were the only people there for probably a good hour, which was amazing. But since then, I know I did the last 5K on our last cruise. And at that point, people are pretty much on the beach before the runners even get off the boat. So, still try to do it, still try to, get really hot and sweaty and disgusting before jumping in the ocean. It's still fun watching everybody do that run.
I think we did the bikes too,
Mhm.
right? Yeah,
Yep.
we did the bikes and that was fun.
Yeah, love exploring that.
Yeah. I think just laying on the beach, man, and being able to like get out of the water and go rinse yourself off in the shower is it's awesome.
Yeah, we always have that question, like, do we want to book other activities or excursions on Castaway Cay? But then we're like, nah, Serenity Bay, just enjoy it, relax, and have a good time there.
Especially if you pay for a cabana. It's like,
Sure.
Don't waste any of your hours in the precious cabana.
Mhm.
I forget. Do they bring you? Can they bring you food there, or do you have to go to the actual?
You do have to
Okay.
go. And I just found
Yeah.
out that you can only get the spicy chicken sandwich at the Cookies on the Family Beach, which is so annoying because everybody's like, "Oh, the food at Serenity Bay is so good," and I'm like, "I just want a spicy chicken sandwich." So now next time I go to Castaway Cay, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna just hike it all the way and get myself some spicy chicken because I just
come on over and slum it with us over at the Family Beach. So you guys get back on. Well, I mean, I got to go back. So your very first cruise, you've got the adult pool area to yourselves. You've got Serenity Bay to yourselves. No wonder you guys came back. Amazing.
Yeah.
So
it was lucky.
Well, before we I've got some questions maybe like for the future, but is there anything that we've missed that you guys wanted to talk about, just as a group, sailing on the ships, the experiences that you've had, anything else you want to touch on?
Just the one thing that they do have a singles only cruise and singles kind of activities throughout the cruise. And listen, every cruise may be different. The mix of people are different on every cruise, I'm sure. But we did attempt to go to one on our first cruise. Since we're 6 singles, we're like, let's go check it out, meet some of the other singles on this cruise. And we showed up and it was the cast member and us. Andrea, what did we do next?
Yeah, so he was like, "Come on, guys, we're gonna go to whatever lounge or whatever," and we were like, "Okay." And then he was like getting through a bunch of people who were in the atrium, and we just
dispersed.
Ditched him.
I actually still feel bad about it. It was awful.
Good thing it was only a 3-night cruise. I think it was like towards the end, so we didn't have to see him again.
Yeah, it was really bad. I felt terrible, but
we are very good about. We do go to like the princess meet and greets, and we try to meet the characters because I think they're excited to see some adults only, and they definitely interact with us different than they, I'm sure, do with the young kids. So that is actually a lot of fun for us too.
Yeah, don't underestimate the allure of character greets with like a big group of adults. So like 6 people going to meet Tiana is like the best Disney time you will have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you kind of make their days, in all honesty, like you're saying, because it's kind of similar over and over with the kids. So kind of having some, different way to play a little bit with you guys, I think it probably makes their day a little bit.
I think
Definitely.
Tiana recognized us from one. I mean, because she was the same person. I mean, obviously Tiana's always the same.
Right.
But, she recognized us, which was fun.
Well, it's hard to. You guys are so quiet. I'm surprised that she was able to, I guess. So, well, let's kind of turn to the future. And, as a group of singles, kind of group traveling together, Disney's got a new ship coming out eventually, someday, right, Chris?
Oh.
One day.
So what would your guys' wish be for the Wish as far as changes you guys would like to see for groups like yours, maybe?
I have a couple of things.
Go ahead, Joe.
So one thing we love to do as a group, actually, which some other cruise lines are getting into, escape rooms. I think that would be very cool to do some escape rooms, or even, they have the kids scavenger hunts on the ships right now, but maybe do an adult oriented type of thing where it could be a little bit more fun for the older 12-year-olds, right? But definitely some of the activities on the ship, we do the aqueduct, but, pretty much the activities are limited to those experiences that they have now, but maybe some things that are a little bit more like a zip line or the rock walls that they have on some ships, a little bit more for the higher level activity people. That would be nice.
Ditch those basketball courts.
Exactly.
How about you, Andrea?
Same. I mean, we do love escape rooms and stuff like that. So that I would love to see that. We're not big. We don't care about casinos and things like that. So, I mean, never being on a ship is not a big deal for us. Yeah, I guess ditching those basketball courts and just putting more. I mean, I honestly would like to see like a video game VR space, not just for kids, because every time I go in to those, like on the open house, we like to like go in and check out what is happening in the kids club. And I was like, I want to play with all this Star Wars stuff. Like, why can't I? So having some space like that for adults too would be nice.
Yeah, I think they could really up the experience with the VR stuff. Have you guys been to the
Void?
The Void.
I want to go so bad, but I haven't been able to do it yet. I ran the Star Wars half, and we were going to go to the Void, and then we just didn't. And then this year's was obviously
canceled. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Void would be really cool, but there's no way that everyone on the ship would be able to do it. So it would have to be a pretty premium upcharge, I imagine, in order for them to like want to dedicate any space on the ship to something like that. Mm-hmm. Same with escape rooms. I worry like they might just not have the ability to get enough people to do it, which makes me sad because I agree those would be really fun add-ons.
They could do something cool though, like across the ship, like a mystery, like the scavenger hunt type of thing. Audrey and I actually had a great experience in New York City once doing a Clue, the movie Clue, if you guys are fans. But there was a space that did a nice kind of like murder mystery where you're going from room to room and experiencing things and trying to find something out. So even if you're doing something where you're going from one lounge to another lounge, or, you have to explore the ship as you're trying to figure out this mystery or something like that, could be fun.
Yeah, they have the detective agency kind of game for the kid. Well, anybody can play it, obviously, but, kind of a little bit more adult themed version of that, running through the ship in the evenings. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
It would be fun.
Yeah. So how about this one with Norwegian? I know Norwegian's done it, and I haven't kept up on Royal on some of the other ships, but they offer like single only staterooms, and then they have like a singles type lounge that only people traveling in that area could go to. Would something like that appeal to you guys? Or do you enjoy being together as a group, kind of, sharing the staterooms too? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Virgin cruises have those singles, but they're so small, and I'm not sure. I don't know. I think we prefer to travel together as a group because we're not really going to like meet people and like, I mean, be naughty. Is that a nice way of saying that? Like we're not going on a cruise. We're going on a cruise to be a group of friends. We're not
together.
Together. Yeah. We're not going to be like singles time.
You mentioned that you were about to be going on a cruise this August, but the dreaded Corona has struck again, and you won't be doing that. And so your next cruise is a Baja cruise in the spring. I'm guessing that's a spring break cruise?
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that one and who's going. And then if you have any cruises planned beyond that, we'd love to hear about what's next for you, or theme parks.
Sure. Well, that one was picked one because we wanted to try a different location. We also, one of the 6 of us that typically cruise lives in Los Angeles. So we figured this would be nice for her so that she doesn't have to fly across the country. And we get to do some Disneyland theme park in conjunction with the cruise. So that was part of the appeal. And also, again, like you said, it was a spring break for us. So time-wise, it worked out.
Yeah. I have a cruise booked in February with my family, and that will be February, leaving out of Miami. It's a Marvel cruise. So
I've done that one.
Yeah, I have to say I'm not holding my breath though for February.
I don't blame you.
But we'll see. We really want to do it, so that'll be good.
And then one of our friends' thoughts, Andrea and I, and some of us in the crew, we would love to do the Alaska cruise.
But we can't decide, because we were looking at pricing, and for what we could sail with Disney to Alaska, like we could sail concierge level on another line. So we're trying to decide like if it's enough to justify us like spending all that money. If we might as well spend all that money and be like baller, like getting special treatment on another line. We don't know yet.
It's funny that you say that, because I don't know what episode number it is, Steve. I should look it up. But my Alaska episode is exactly what you describe. We were with a big group of friends. The price range for Disney wasn't meeting everybody's needs. But because we were used to Disney prices, we put a little bit of extra into it. And we stayed in like a penthouse suite on Norwegian that was like at the very front of the ship facing the Alaska Wild. We had a butler. We had access to like the Haven thing that Norwegian does. It also meant that we could get priority getting on and off the ship. We got priority tendering in those ports, and we got to eat at specialty breakfast places. But I will say that on this ship, I don't want to speak for all of Norwegian, but on this ship, the main dining room food was basically inedible. And so it was a bit of a hit or miss moment, because it was like, we have all this really cool stuff, but you literally have to take advantage of that cool stuff because this stuff is not working for us. So you would have to manage expectations, I would say. But yes, I could see you going that route and really enjoying it.
Good to know.
It's awesome to be on the Disney ship, obviously, for the atmosphere and everything like that Disney Cruise Line provides. But Alaska is also one of those places where you're going to be at a port pretty much every day, and you're going to be off of the ship. So that's something to think about as well, as far as, even though you're with a different cruise line, maybe like Chris said, you kind of up your experience, and then most of the time you're off the ship as well. So Alaska might be a good time to try something else out if you guys want to.
Yeah. Definitely. And one thing that'd be nice if when they get the new ships, when and if that happens, if one of the smaller ships maybe comes to New York a little bit longer than it typically does, since, we could just jump on a cruise out of New York a little bit more frequently than we can get out of Florida or California. Maybe we'll get our own ship here a little bit longer throughout the year.
We want to do one of those, but because we're teachers, we can't take time off in the fall. So.
I was just going to say, it's like it sails the worst time of the year for you guys, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As we get out of here today, I really want to thank you guys for coming on and sharing your guys' experiences. I love talking to you about all the different things you did and have done. And I think I need to get your number, Andrea, so that, when we plan things in the future, I'm just going to have you plan it for us because you have that magic touch.
We are very lucky. And we are also obsessive planners. I mean, I think, Joe, if we have not made it clear, like our planning is, we are on at like midnight and like refresh. We are crazy. So we're at the port like as early as we possibly can be. We're ridiculous. It's bad.
Well, that's half the fun. My philosophy on vacations is always have something booked so that you always have that thing to be looking forward to. And when you have like a rough mental health day or work is just too overwhelming, you can like go home, log on to Disney and like, you know, imagine which port adventure you might do, or like research, you know, what mixology classes are offered. And that's just like a way to get through the like more challenging days.
Yep.
For sure. Yep. And as much research as we do definitely use a travel agent when we book the cruises, because if anything goes wrong or just the logistics with Disney, it's definitely easier for them to take care of that stuff, especially with the Corona things and the cruises that we had to reschedule and rebook and things like that. It's easier for them to handle that. We take care of the minutia of all the details on the trip, but it's nice to have the travel agent to handle the overall cruise.
And we always split like the cruise price. Actually, Joe, we have trouble with that because of our we applied the canceled cruise to the Baja, and we split the money evenly 3 ways. Even though that third person is like cheaper, we're always like, well, we're going to do an even split and things like that. Yeah. So, but that's actually become quite tricky with this. So to just have a travel agent to be like, can you please help us? We don't know how this is going to work. And she was like, I'll charge you the right amount. It's fine. So it's good.
Cool.
Well, all good points there. Well, as we get out of here today, you know, I don't want to speak for Chris or Seth or anything like that, but when you guys get down to the Grand Californian and you need somebody to meet you in the Napa Rose for dinner, I'm sure that they'll be available.
Ooh.
Here we are, Los Angeles. We have not been to Disneyland in months and months, like half a year. Our annual passes are languishing in our wallets.
And I can't think of a better VIP tour than to tour Disneyland with the two of you guys. So
we're in for it.
We're hoping to talk our way into a better room, because that's a whole other story. But Joe and I managed to talk our way into a 1-bedroom concierge suite in Disneyland Paris. It's a whole other show.
Make it fancy.
That's our motto.
Well, awesome. Well, all the best, guys. You know, hang in there. Thanks for all you guys do as teachers out there. I do appreciate that. I mean, as having kids, I know that is probably not said enough, to all that you guys do to teach our kids out there. And thanks for being out there for them. And I want to wish you the best as the summer ends. And we look forward to talking to you guys soon.
Thank you so much. This was a pleasure.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Once again, I really want to thank Andrea and Joe for coming on and sharing their experiences sailing single with friends on Disney Cruise Line. Just a lot of fun talking to them. If you have any thoughts about the show, you can always reach out to myself, Steve, Christy, or Chris over at Facebook at DCL Podcast. Of course, you can find us on Instagram as well at DCL_podcast as well. And then you can always reach out to me, Steve, at DCLpodcast.com with any questions you may have about the show. We are trying to get as many of you on as quickly as we can. We are a little bit backed up with shows, and I have for those of you who know, followed the show for a while, I've got my annual training coming up in October, so maybe slowing things down just a little bit in the recording part, but the shows will continue to come out. We've got a lot of them already in the books, and so even though the ships are paused, we are still going to be bringing you content each and every week here on the DCL Podcast. If you would like to help support our show, you can do so via Patreon. Go over to patreon.com/DCL Podcast, and you can find out all the information there as well. Well, between now and our next show, if you are heading out on your next vacation with your family, staycation, or just starting school with the kids, all of us here at the DCL Podcast, myself, Steve, Christy, and Chris, wish you to be well. All the best to you and your families out there, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.